Before we get started, let's check out the links in my description. We all want nice things. We want the car, we want a house, we want a high limit credit card. But if you don't have at least a 680 credit score, you're not even in the game. So click this link here to know where you stand and get your free credit scores from all three bureaus. That will be Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And also get your reports. If you would like to be free and become financially independent through entrepreneurship, click this link here to be free. If you'd like to get cash back, which is a discount during shopping, please click this link here to see my favorite cashback sites. And if you enjoy the music you hear in the background, please click the link here and subscribe to It's Oasis. Hello everyone, welcome back to Community Wealth. Today I'm going to discuss some updates with the IRS website, that's irs.gov. But before we get into that, if you would like to know your FICO scores and what's in your reports with all three bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, click the credit monitoring link in the description below. If you would like to make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your time using your vehicle, click the Wealth Dasher link in the description below. Now if you don't have a car or you don't want to use your own vehicle, you can click the Wealth Hire Car link in the description below, and that way you can use the Hire Car along with Wealth Dasher to still make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your time. You want to know how I got 5 properties for $5,500? Click the Be Free link in the description below, then click Sign Up. If you like cash back while shopping online, you can get cash back by clicking the cashback link in the description below. And there's a new MasterCard. It's the Aspiration Zero MasterCard. They're giving $300 back for $3,000 spend within the first 90 days. You can apply for the Aspiration Zero MasterCard by clicking the Aspiration link in the description below. Now let's get to this article that's talking about this new IRS update for irs.gov. Here it is. It says it right there in the title. IRS will soon require selfies for online access. You see that? That's kind of interesting. They're going to require you to take a selfie to create an account online for irs.gov. But let's read what's going on. If you created an online account to manage your tax records with the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, those login credentials will cease to work later this year. The agency says that by the summer of 2022, the only way to log into irs.gov will be through ID.me, an online identity verification service that requires applicants to submit copies of bills and identity documents, as well as a live video feed of their faces via a mobile device. Here it is right here. This was what it's looking like so far. This is what it looks like. That's deep. Okay. Yeah, that's deep. ID.me right here. Or sign up with this existing account. McLean, Virginia-based ID.me was originally launched in 2010 with the goal of helping e-commerce sites validate the identities of customers who might be eligible for discounts at various retail establishments, such as veterans, teachers, students, nurses, and first responders. These days, ID.me is perhaps better known as the online identity verification service that many states now use to help stanch the loss of billions of dollars in unemployment insurance and pandemic assistance stolen each year by identity thieves. The privately held company says it has approximately 64 million users and gains roughly 145,000 new users each day. Some 27 states already use ID.me to screen for identity thieves applying for benefits in someone else's name, and now the IRS is joining them. The service requires applicants to supply a great deal more information than typically requested for online verification schemes, such as scans of their driver's license or other government ID, copies of utility or insurance bills, and details about their mobile phone service. When an applicant doesn't have one or more of the above, or if something about the application triggers potential fraud flags, ID.me may require a recorded live video chat with the person applying for benefits. Since my credentials at the IRS will soon no longer work, I opted to create an ID.me account and share the experience here. An important preface to this walkthrough is that verifying oneself with ID.me requires one to be able to take a live video selfie, either with the camera on a mobile device or a webcam attached to a computer. Your webcam must be able to open on the device you're using to apply for the ID.me account. Also, successfully verifying your identity with ID.me may require a significant investment of time and quite a bit of patience. A phone call to code generator apps and FICO security keys. ID.me even suggests using its own branded one-time code generating app, which can push a prompt to your mobile device for you to approve whenever you log in. I went with and would encourage others to use the strongest MFA option, a physical security key. When the MFA option is verified, the system produces one-time backup code and suggests you save that in a safe place in case your chosen MFA option is unavailable the next time you try to use a service that requires ID.me. Next, applicants are asked to upload images of their driver's license, state issue ID, or passport, either via a saved file or by scanning them with a webcam or mobile device. If your documents get accepted, ID.me will then prompt you to take a live selfie with your mobile device or webcam. That took several attempts. When my computer's camera produced an acceptable result, ID.me said it was comparing the output to the images on my driver's license scan. I remember doing this when I was going through Womply, and I think I went through this with a couple other things, like when I was signed up to crypto sites, I went through stuff like this. So I'm not sure it was ID.me, it probably was, but all this stuff is just taking me back to when I was signing up for these different sites. After this, ID.me requires the verification of your phone number, which means they will ask your mobile or landline provider to validate you are indeed an existing paying customer who can be reached at that number. ID.me says it currently does not accept phone numbers tied to voice over IP services like Google, Voice, and Skype. My application got stuck intermittently at the confirming your phone stage, which is somewhere near the middle of the entire verification process. An email to ID.me support people generated a message with a link to complete the verification process via a live video chat. Unfortunately, clicking that link brought up prompts to re-upload all of the information I had already supplied and then some. For example, completing the process requires submitting at least 2 secondary identification documents such as a social security card, a birth certificate, health insurance card, W-2 form, electric bill, or financial institution statement. After re-uploading all of this information, ID.me system prompted me to please stay on this screen to join video call. However, the estimated wait time when that message first popped up said 3 hours and 27 minutes. What in the world? Man, I guess I'll never be creating a government account, because I'm not about to go through all that. Thought I had a hard time signing up with Womply and those crypto sites. I ain't doing all, I'm good. Look at that. Please stay on the screen to join video call. Status last updated. They just did this. The estimated wait time is 3 hours and 20. You are required to show the following actual documents on the video call. Driver's license. Common issues with documents. I appreciate that ID.me's system relies on real human beings seeking to interview applicants in real time, and that not all of those representatives can be expected to handle all of these immediately. And I get that slowing things down is an important part of defeating identity fraudsters who are seeking to exploit automated identity verification systems that largely rely on state data about consumers. That said, I started this meet an agent process at around 9:30 in the evening, and I wasn't particularly looking forward to staying up until midnight to complete it. But not long after that message about waiting 3 hours came up, I got a phone call from an ID.me technician who was CC'd on my original email to ID.me's founder. Against my repeated protest that I wanted to wait my turn like everyone else, he said he would handle the process himself. Sure enough, A minute later, I was connected with the ID.me support person who finished the verification in a video phone call. That took about 1 minute. But for anyone who fails the automated sign up, count on spending several hours getting verified. When my application was finally approved, I headed back to irs.gov and proceeded to log in with my new ID.me account. After granting the IRS access to the personal data I shared with ID.me, I was looking at my most recent tax data on the IRS website. I don't know. Sounds like a process, just much like this article is pretty long too. It's the last section. We're 11 minutes in. I was somewhat concerned that my ID verification might fail because I have security freeze on my credit file with the 3 major consumer credit bureaus. But at no time during my application process did ID.me even mention the need to lift or thaw that security freeze to complete the authentication process. The IRS previously relied upon Equifax for its identity proofing process, and even then, anyone with frozen credit files had to lift the freeze to make it through the IRS's legacy authentication system. For several years, the result of that reliance was that ID thieves massively abused the IRS's own website to impersonate taxpayers, view their confidential tax records, and ultimately obtain fraudulent tax refunds in their names. The IRS canceled its taxpayer identity contract with Equifax in October 2017, after the credit bureau disclosed that a failure to patch a 4-month-old zero-day security flaw led to the theft of social security numbers and personal and financial information on 148 million Americans. That's a lot of people. 148 million. That sounds crazy. Perhaps, in light of that 2017 mega breach, many readers will be rightfully concerned about being forced to provide so much sensitive information to a relatively unknown private company. We spoke with the ID.me founder and CEO Blake Hall in last year's story, how 100 million in jobless claims went to inmates. I asked Hall what ID.me does to secure all the sensitive information it collects, which would no doubt serve as an enticing target for hackers and identity thieves. We take a defense in-depth approach with partition networks and use very sophisticated encryption schemes so that when and if there's a breach, this stuff is firewalled, Hall said. You would have to compromise the tokens at scale and not just the database. We encrypt all that stuff down to the file level with keys that rotate and expire every 24 hours. And once we verify you, we don't need that data about you on an ongoing basis. ID.me's privacy policy states that if you sign up for ID.me in connection with legal identity verification or a government agency, we will not use your verification information for any type of marketing or promotional purposes. Signing up at ID.me requires users to approve a biometric data policy that states the company will not sell, lease, or trade your biometric data to any third parties or seek to derive any profit from that information. ID.me says users can delete their biometric data at any time, but there was no apparent option to do so when I logged straight into my new account at ID.me. So maybe it's down the line, I don't know. That sounds kind of odd. They say you can delete, but then you can't. When I asked the support technician who conducted the video interview to remove my biometric data, he sent me a link to a process for deleting one's ID.me account. So it seems that removing one's data from ID.me post-verification equals deleting one's account and potentially having to re-register at some point in the future. Oh, that's how it works. That's very interesting. Sounds like a lot of work. Over the years, I've tried to stress the importance of creating accounts online tied to your various identity, financial, and communication services before identity thieves do it for you. But all of those places where you should plant your flag conduct identity verification in an automated fashion using entirely static data points about consumers that have been breached many times over. Love it or hate it, ID.me is likely to become one of those places where Americans need to plant their flag and mark their territory, if for no other reason than it will probably be needed at some point to manage your relationship with the federal government and or your state. And given the potential time investment needed to successfully create an ID.me account, it might be a good idea to do that before you're forced to do so at the last minute, such as waiting until the 11th hour to pay your quarterly or annual estimated taxes. If you visited the sign-in page at the U.S. Social Security Administration, lately you will notice that on or around September 18, 2021, the agency stopped allowing new accounts to be created with only a username and password. Anyone seeking to create an account at the SSA is now steered toward either ID.me or login.gov, a single sign-on solution for U.S. government websites. Okay. All right. So let me go down there so y'all can see that again, just in case you didn't. This is Social Security right here. Okay. Interesting. That was an interesting article. You know, it was pretty interesting. It was longer than I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect it to be that long. But, yep, that's what they're doing. They're going to have you do ID.me, and you're going to do that long process. You got to stay the course until it's done. If not, you got to start all over again to create an account with ID.me to log into the IRS.gov website. But tell me what you think about this. What you think about it? All right? I don't think much about it. I never had an IRS.gov account. I don't think I did. I know I got my EIN, but I don't think I had to create an account to get my EIN. But again, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. If you would like to know your FICO scores and what's on your reports from all three bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, click the credit monitoring link in the description below. If you would like to make $500 to $1,000 plus per week utilizing your vehicle on your own time, click the Wealth Dasher link in the description below. If you don't have a vehicle or you don't want to use your own vehicle, then click the Wealth Hire Car link in the description below. And that way you can hire a car and use that vehicle to then Wealth Dash and make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your own time. If you want to know how I got 5 properties for $5,500, click the Be Free link in the description below. If you'd like to get cash back while shopping online, click the cash back link in the description below. Like, share the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to It's Oasis, and until the next video, let's get this money.